my spiritual awakening, all the stages and phases. So, I had my spiritual awakening last year that changed everything for me. And, but spiritual awakening is not a one day thing, you know. It doesn't happen like, I mean, of course, it just happens. And of course, it takes time to process and everything. But, but, you know, you know when the milk reaches that boiling point, it may just look like it's happening in that moment, but it has been really been on the slow fire for like quite some time. So that's exactly how spiritual awakening is and has been a phenomena, for many people out there on planet Earth right now. They're going through mass awakening, spiritual awakening, because our planet is going through a transformation. Planet Earth is going through a transformation, and I'm one of those pieces of Earth, you know, who has gone through a spiritual awakening. And of course, there's a much way ahead in front of me. So okay, now let's just come to why am I doing this video. So I am just doing this video because I feel there may be a lot of people who would want to, know what is spiritual awakening, or how does it happen, or just want to, or I could be just of some help to somebody out there, who is on their spiritual journey, what it is and how it happens and stuff like that. And of course, there is no just, it's not kind of a sixth class textbook, like after this chapter is going to come, and after that chapter the other chapter is going. It's not something like that. It has happened for me in a certain way. It can happen for you in a completely different way. Okay, so one thing is that, and the second thing of why am I doing this video is because I have a story to tell. I have a big story to share, and of course I can just not really go into depth, is how I feel for now. Not really opened up that much to, talk about my life personally, because spiritual journey is a very much an experiential journey. It's very much a personal journey. Yes. So yeah, I may not be that comfortable, but it doesn't matter, what was the story. I'm gonna give you the understatements of how that story, weaved into my life and led me to a spiritual awakening. Yeah, so let's get on to that point, right? Okay, so I have been on the spiritual journey for like 6-7 years consciously. Okay, would rather say 7-8 years consciously. All right, but so it has been quite some time, and you know now I can really look back and form a very detached view, of how things were in my life. So keeping that attached view, the newer version of me, spiritual journey is like that. You It's not about finding God up there. It's about, of course I found God, but it's not about finding God up there. It's about finding God within you, at the end of the day. So it's a journey. It's a transformative journey. You transform. So the newer version of me can really look back and see the older versions and can tell you the story. Okay, so here we go. So I have decided, I have seen and really categorized my life into 3 phases. Up till now, it is into 3 phases. By the way, I'm still on my journey, right? Spiritual awakening is just, it's बस जागना हुआ है अभी तो. अभी तो you have to move towards enlightenment and, You have to move towards ascension, okay? So from awakening to ascension. So what is ascension? We may talk about it in another video someday. And I don't think so I am that very open to talk about what really ascension is for now. So I'm keeping that aside. I don't want to talk about ascension because I think ascension is a very great process and not, you know, um, अगर आप मेचोरिटी से पहले किसी को कोई विजडम देते हो या ज्ञान देते हो then it's it can harm them more than we may think that it would benefit, but no, अगर टाइम से पहले कोई चीज़ आपको पता चलती है वो आपको बहुत हार्म कर सकती है. So that's why I'm not deciding to talk about ascension really. I don't think so that मैं इसे maturely बता सकती हूँ या समझा सकती हूँ without somebody um, getting you know uh, damaged by it. So we're keeping the ascension away for now. But yeah, it's yeah. So awakening to ascension. So awakening matlab sirf jagna. अभी तो journey cover करनी है. So I'm still on my spiritual journey, right? But so I'm going to talk about from nothing to spiritual awakening, right? So I have my life in 3 different phases that I've divided for now. And the very first phase is when I was suffering unconsciously. मतलब मैं suffer कर रही हूँ, I am suffering, I am in a lot of pain, but I don't know about it. My conscious mind doesn't know about it. I am not in really tune with my suffering. My heart is feeling things, but my mind just wants to believe what other people are doing, or my mind just wants to be related to the crowd out there. So I am not getting in tune with my heart, right? That's the first phase of my life. That's the darkest phase of my life. I call that the darkest phase of my life. And this phase was while I was growing up. Okay, so from childhood to my teenage years, and as I completed school and everything. So yeah, it's long also in comparison to the other phases. But yeah, it's long, it's darkest, I'm unconsciously suffering. That's exactly how it is. Okay. And by the way, I have everything. Okay. Externally, I have everything. Like, I come from a middle class family. I have very lovely parents. I have everything materially. Okay. I mean, just enough. How middle classes are. Just enough, And we're just happy with that. I mean, I was always happy with that. And uh, and the second phase of my life. Okay. I mean, yeah, let's just go to second phase of my life. So the second phase of my life is when I see that one ray of hope. My second phase of life is all about me playing with that one ray of hope. So my first phase of life was actually preparing me for my second phase of life. I was kept in dark for such a long time that when that one ray of hope appears, I cling to that. I hold that, So my first phase of life was actually trying to push me towards that just one ray of light. How I act and interact with that one ray of light, with a one ray of hope, is all my second phase of life is. Interesting part of my life, right? I went into a lot of inner adventures. I've followed my intuition. I did things that that were just too illogical, that came from a crazy part. I mean, your soul is a crazy part actually. Okay. So Yeah, I followed my intuitions and I've seen a by the way, I really suffered in this part. Okay. I mean, I really saw some really ups and downs in my life. I really saw some really shitty ups and downs in my life. And if people who know my life and everything, who were connected with me, if you ask them, they would say that I had a hell of a life. I had a hell of a phase from this moment to that moment. That is exactly what people around me would say, okay, about the second phase of my life externally, okay. But internally, I am just so relieved because I'm still playing with a one ray of hope, okay. It's like I can give you an imagery of it. It would be like I'm walking blindly, okay. I am really into seeking, okay. I'm a spiritual seeker, how Harry Potter became a seeker, he was a seeker, and he would just you know uh, what was that game? I'm forgetting that name, for first part में या second part में वो game दिखाते हैं हैरी पॉटर की, and how he was a seeker. बाकी सब प्ले कर रहे थे और सीकर सिर्फ एक ही होता है और उसको वो बॉल ऑफ ट्रूथ पकड़ना होता है, ऐसे कुछ होता है, समथिंग लाइक दैट. So, yeah, I was a seeker completely, and I was like, if this experiment didn't work, I I will, my mind will think that I've completely lost it. Okay, my logical mind will win. Okay, because my logical mind was saying that to me in the second phase of my life all through, that you have gone nuts, you have lost it. So ultimately, my logical mind will win, and so yeah, that's exactly what my second phase of life was, okay. Really, I was really very much in pain. I'm smiling now while talking about, I'm laughing now, but I was really in so much pain for that 7 8 years. Because I'll tell you why I was so much in pain. Because you know the very first phase of my life, I was unconsciously suffering, okay. सो जिस सफरिंग से मैंने ट्यून इन नहीं किया था फॉर द वेरी लॉन्ग पीरियड ऑफ माई लाइफ, वो मुझे सेकेंड फेज ऑफ लाइफ में करना था. सो yeah, it required a lot of strength, and I discovered my strength as well. I never thought I was so strong, to go through all those situations and circumstances, and of course it has happened with the grace of my gurus, and you know by the grace of God and everything. I mean, at the end of the day, they were the ones who really showed me the light. They really showed me how to play with the light. Yeah. And the third phase of my life is like universe slapping me with one after the other proofs of how amazing I was. you know, it's like rewarding me for walking blindly on the path, you know. So it's giving me proofs that it's like I am communicating with universe, but my logical mind is like, no, you're not. You're going crazy. And in the third phase of my life, it's universe is sending me proof, okay, sending me, have a look, have a look, have a look. Okay, it's like that. It's true. We are here. You have been really with us, and yeah, it's like universe responding back to me. I mean, universe was always trying to contact me in the first phase of my life as well. But in the very first phase of my life, I didn't trust it. I was way too logical. Okay, I mean, I was way too logical. I'm sorry, I was way too logical. Okay, in the second phase of my life, became a little crazy because a little logical because that darkness was too much to bear. So I'm like, dekhi jayegi kind of karke, and I just did my part, what I had to do, walking my spiritual journey. And in the third phase of my life, universe is not contacting me now. It's like responding to me. Like, look, here. It's just, yeah. By the way, I still have a messed up life. in the third phase of my life, in the spiritual awakening. Instead, when my spiritual awakening, there are of course deepening stages itself in the third phase. In every phase there are deepening stages, okay? So we can go into detail and everything. We'll find that there are other stages as well to it. So the third stage of my life had, kind of deepening stages, and it's like universe slapping me with truths and truths and truths. And I was like, wow, my heart knew this intuition for this like whole while. I knew this, I knew this, I knew this, I knew this, I knew this. So that's exactly how I just, it's like discovering myself. It's like universe showing me that your intuition was just so right all the while. I know you were walking blindly, but look here, we got you. So something like this, right? Yeah, that was the third phase of my life, the big spiritual awakening, and it really feels like a 180-degree shift. It feels like a 360-degree shift, yeah. So there was some goal घुमा दिया भगवान जी ने, and it's just something like this, really. And I wasn't really expecting spiritual awakening. Definitely, I wasn't expecting it, but it happened. I don't know. Yeah. By the way, I still don't have anything, okay, in the third phase of my life. Okay. I have now lost जो बचा कुचा जो भी था वो भी चला गया. Third phase of मेरे life में spiritual awakening, and I'm still somewhere in the journey of spiritual awakening. Okay, I'm still in the third phase of my life and I'm moving forward. Okay, so जो third phase of life में मेरा जो कुछ बचा कुचा था वो भी universe is like मुझे दे दो मुझे दे दो मुझे दे दो. I'm like ले जाओ ले जाओ. So yeah, that's exactly how the three stages of my life were. Okay, so the very first stage I will call, I am walking my path very unconsciously. मतलब मेरे अंदर बहुत सारे questions हैं. So मेरे अंदर बहुत सारे questions हैं, बहुत सारे questions हैं. मुझे ये दुनिया समझ नहीं आ रही है. I am that one child, जिसे दुनिया समझ नहीं आ रहा है. And सबसे ज़्यादा दुख तो मुझे इस बात का होता है कि बाकी सबको समझ आ रहा है तो मुझे क्यों नहीं समझ आ रहा है यार. Everybody knows what to do, everybody. लोग मीनिंगलेस चीज़ों में खुश हैं, पर मैं मैं नहीं हो पा रही हूँ खुश. Okay, I need to find meaning. I'm a deep thinker, I'm a deep person. Okay, and I just need to find meaning as a child, as a grown up. And I'm having these dreams कि मैं बड़ी होंगी and I'll do this and I'll do that, and I've all of these kinds of stuff going on in my head, and I harbored these wishes for a long long time because I yeah, and I'm a sensitive person. I'm a sensitive kid. I am a sensitive adult too, so yeah. And then people think that sensitivity is is a weakness. I also thought that about me for much longer time, that sensitivity is a weakness. But in the very first phase of my life, but the second phase, when I really went into my spiritual lessons and everything, then yeah, I discovered that it is not. It is not. It is actually such a strength to be sensitive. It's easy to close your hearts. It's easy to close yourself up. It's easy not to take risk and close yourself, saying the world is a bad place. But it requires strength, to be the light in the darkest places. और दुनिया से समझने के लिए भी इतनी मेच्योर नहीं हुई है. ठीक है. So yeah, I yeah, if I hated myself in the first phase of life. मुझे लगता था कि मेरे साथ बहुत सारी problems हैं और मैं idol बनना चाहती थी, and the second phase of life, I fell in love with myself. I fell in love. By the way, nobody is by the way, people around me are way too logical, and yeah, people around me think that I am a logical person and I'm very childish and I am sensitive and I'm stupid for being sensitive, and that's what they think. And I always had such kind of people around me, and I think that it had a purpose. Okay, it had really had a purpose. It was trying to push me, into, in one way it was a test as well. It was testing my limits, like, and yeah, I just held on to that. I just held on to my heart, and I just never let it close. Like, I just, that has been my journey. I just never let it close. And yeah, okay. So let's just get into details. थोड़ा सा, um, I don't know what क्या लग रहा है, but ठीक है. So let me just have water. So मेरा first phase of life और second phase of life काफ़ी contrasting है. Okay, so first phase of life is very dark because I am completely feeling shitty inside my own self. Okay, and my body is harboring diseases. Okay, in the first phase of my life. Okay, like I'm not feeling good in my own body, and you know, I had acne, and then I also harbored disease. I harbored thyroid. Okay, but I was diagnosed in the second phase of my life. Okay, so आप देख रहे हो, like, suffering is happening, brewing, and in the second phase of my life, it's like coming out, it's showing me. Okay, it's mirroring. Okay, the reality is mirroring now. So that's exactly how and what was happening. Okay, in the second phase of my life. So yeah, and I'm feeling completely meaningless, I'm sad, and I am just trying, in the very first phase of life, I'm just trying to do what everybody is trying to do. Okay, and I'm trying to belong. Okay, I'm trying to belong to people around me. I was always a deep thinker. I was always very much, I like to think deep, and for me details matter. Okay, बट हमें सिखाया क्या जा रहा था, और बाकी आसपास के मैं लोग देखती थी, वो भी ऐसे ही थे. दे वुड ऑलवेज गो फॉर अ बिग फिश इन द टैंक. Okay, they will always go for the big fish, whereas I love to work in the details. I was very much internally oriented. Okay, I am internally oriented, and I'll always be. Okay, and for me it was more of like, where am I going wrong, what am I doing wrong? Okay, I was suffering. Of course, I had an inferiority complex. I think most children, teenagers, they go through that part. So I had an inferiority complex growing up, and yeah, and then in the second phase of my life, things changed. I saw my own complexity. Okay, coming onto my face. It was really painful. The second phase of my life was really painful. I was literally crying, but deep, I was in a lot of pain, and I was just, just not. You cannot just say, you're crying and because you're crying, you're suffering. No, you know, some people are so much in addiction. Okay, I think people who do drugs or you're addicted, I think they are so much in pain. They are more in pain than a person who's crying. Okay, is how I feel. So crying doesn't mean that you are in pain or whatever. So I was really in pain in the second phase of my life. My life is going up and down, up and down, up and down, but that is what my reality is trying to show me, that these are the things that you have to work upon yourself. So what was that ray of hope that I had, okay, in the second phase of my life? Internet. Literally internet. I have no idea. I think in Australia they were trying to ban internet, so that so that students do not go to the wrong path and everything. But I was that one damn child. I'm in my 20s. I'm not subscribing to Netflix and stuff like that. I am literally buying apps, which are wisdoms and stuff like that. Okay, I'm buying gurus apps and stuff like that, meditation apps, and doing that. By the way, I still have some meditation apps bought right in my app, and I do not have Netflix and stuff like that. Okay, and don't have all those stuff in my phone. Okay, so I use internet in a very wise way because I wanted to, because I had nowhere to go. I was completely, life brought me to a point कि यहाँ से तुम कहीं नहीं जा सकते हो. Life brought me to a point कि बेटा पीछे खाइए और आगे सिर्फ होप है कि शायद इस रे ऑफ होप को पकड़ कर यू मे रीच अ गुड प्लेस. सो आई वाज लाइक आई एम नॉट गोइंग बैक देयर. मतलब मेरे पास कुछ खोने के लिए था नहीं. बेसिकली लाइफ ब्रॉट मी टू पॉइंट में बस खोने के लिए कुछ था नहीं, बट शायद आई कुड गेन समथिंग. ओके, बट ये फिर भी इतना ईजी नहीं था. ओके, वॉकिंग दैट रे ऑफ होप वॉज नॉट ईजी. ओके, बट इट्स जस्ट दैट आई हैड टू हियर समथिंग मोर देन माई लॉजिकल माइंड. ओके, मुझे सेकेंड फेज ऑफ लाइफ में बस अपने लॉजिकल माइंड से ज़्यादा किसी चीज़ से कनेक्ट होना था, और वो मेरा, यू कैन से हार्ट, यू कैन से सोल. उस वक्त मुझे लगा इट्स माई हार्ट. एंड या आई मीन, of course my heart is connected to my soul, my heart chakra is connected to my soul. So yeah, my second phase of life, the very first thing that happened was my heart chakra got activated. Okay, so मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि heart chakra सबसे ज़्यादा humanity को describe करता है, really. I mean, भगवान ने बहुत सारे चक्रास दिए होंगे, राइट, 7, बट आई थिंक वन चक्रा दैट रियली डिस्क्राइब्स ह्यूमैनिटी, या फिर ह्यूमैनिटी से जो एक्सपेक्ट किया जाता होगा, भगवान जी जो एक्सपेक्ट करते हो, वो नहीं कहते होंगे यार कि तुम तीसरी आँख खोलो, तुम ये करो, तुम वो करो, but he would definitely expect us to have an open heart, at least as human beings. We're supposed to at least be that. right? Right. So my heart chakra was like opening, and so my heart chakra is opening. Okay, and the imagery that I really get, from the second phase of my life, if I really have to describe it, then I would just feel like I would give you an example of just imagine a very deep sea. Okay, a great ocean, a deep sea, vast, infinite, and I myself, I am in a very meditative pose, that cross leg position, a very meditative pose, right? And I am in a very meditative pose, and I'm just going down the sea. Okay, and I've my eyes closed. I'm very calm, very meditative, in a very meditative position. I'm just going down the sea, and as much as I go down the sea, my heart chakra opens. As much as I go down the sea, my heart chakra opens, and I'm like, it's making me really tired. I cannot do it anymore. There comes a phase, in your life, like, I cannot do it anymore. I mean, I feel like quitting my spiritual journey many a times, but सच का ना नशा होता है, लिटरली. मतलब आप एक बार सच की दुनिया में आते हो, यू प्लेस योर फुट इन द वर्ल्ड ऑफ ट्रूथ, going back into the lies is more exhausting. Okay, because I know it's a lot of suffering and pain, when you are in the world of truth. Okay, because truth is bitter, but it is so much liberating. आपने देखा है कैसे once you have sugar, once you have desserts, you want to eat it again and again and again and again and again. It will, it will just make you go into cycles. Okay, but truth, once you know the truth, it's addictive, definitely, but it's so relieving. Okay, and it's like, it's so liberating, and getting out of truth would mean going back to lies, and I just couldn't do that. So even if I was really exhausted, I felt like I'm going to do this because that's my truth. Okay, or my truth right now is to experiment. My truth right now is to seek, and I'm going to do that, right? So yeah, I kept doing that. and I reached the bottom of the sea. And when I reached the bottom of the sea, I was really dissolved. My the more I opened my heart, the more light entered me, and it destroyed the ego in me. Okay, मैंने अपनी एक वीडियो बना भी रखी है कि ईगो क्या होती है, व्हाट इज़ ईगो. ईगो, मैं आपको छोटा सा एग्जांपल देती हूँ यहाँ इस वीडियो में, कि ईगो दोनों होती है. इन्फॉरिटी कम्प्लेक्स, सुपरियॉरिटी कम्प्लेक्स, दोनों चीज़ें ईगो होती है. ईगो सिर्फ एक फॉर्म नहीं लेती है, ईगो दोनों फॉर्म लेती है. वी आर ज़ीरो कॉन्शियसनेस. ओके, वी आर zero consciousness, we are souls. We are in the middle. And superiority complex, inferiority complex, you can, they are the two extreme sides, and they both are the forms of ego, and it's so wrong. A victim is in the ego, an oppressor is in the ego. Okay, when they really reach shunya, the God, that's exactly when the ego dissolves. So yeah, my ego dissolved in the second phase of my life. And in the third phase of my life, the little bit ego, that I had to go through, the ego death that I had to go through, I went through, and I'm still going. But I have transformed a lot. Okay, so spiritual journey is, I feel, more about becoming God. ओके, मुझे लगता है ह्यूमैनिटी ने सबसे बड़ी एक गलती ये करी कि हमने जाके मंदिर, मस्जिद और चर्च में जाके मूर्तियाँ रख दी, या फिर हमने वहाँ जाके समझा कि वहीं पे सिर्फ भगवान रहते हैं. एंड वी जस्ट सो डिसरिस्पेक्टेड आवरसेल्व्स, वी जस्ट सो ओवरलुक्ड आवरसेल्व्स. इफ़ यू लुक एट वेरी मच एशियन भारत, अगर आप एशियन भारत को देखो, हमारी पुरानी सिविलाइजेशंस को देखो, then there were Greek civilizations देखो, Greek mythologies देखो, Hindu mythologies देखो, there were always several gods. I am actually reading a book right now by Devdutt Patnaik. So it's myth is equal to mithya, and it talks about how there are many gods. इतने सारे gods हैं क्यों? Because there is not one God up there. I really feel like we as humans, we also have the potential to become God, and that's exactly what I'm just so sorry about this. And that's exactly what our Hindu civilization has taught us. Okay, that we have the power and capability to become God at the end of the day. And that's exactly what it is. Okay, I know Greek myths और हिंदू myths में भी अगर आप देखो तो बहुत सारे गॉड्स ऐसे भी दिखाए जाएंगे जो करप्ट थे. ओके, अगर आप ग्रीक्स में देखो तो ग्रीक्स मैथोलॉजीज़ भी ऐसी हैं. अगर आप हिंदू मैथोलॉजीज़ देखो तो उसमें भी कुछ ऐसे गॉड्स हैं जो करप्ट हैं एंड स्टफ लाइक दैट. ओके, एंड या मैंने एक वीडियो करी थी, यू कैन जस्ट चेक दैट आउट, दैट हाउ स्पिरिचुअल रियलिटी इज़ फ्रॉम मोमेंट टू मोमेंट. अगर आप रावण को देखो, रावण भी बहुत बड़ा ज्ञानी था, राइट, बट ज्ञान के बाद उसमें अहंकार आ गया. तो गॉड, it's like you become, it's not like it finishes off, you become a god and finishes off. No, I think gods also have many levels of consciousness. Okay, this book also talks about how there are many layers and levels of God, and I think that describes the levels of consciousness. If you see कि कैसे हम सब में चेतना का एक स्तर है. Okay, if you look at the humanity also, it's easy to divide humanity into good and bad, this and that, but आज का ह्यूमन कॉम्प्लेक्स है. ओके, गुड एंड बैड जैसे लोग होते भी थे कहीं ना कहीं, बट आज का ह्यूमन बीइंग इज़ वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स. इंटेग्रिटी ऑल्सो हैज़ बीन समवेयर लॉस्ट. आज वो कुछ और कल वो कुछ हो सकता है, यू जस्ट नेवर नो. सो आई रियली फील कि आज का ह्यूमन बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स है. एंड इस कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी को डिज़ोल्व करने के लिए इट्स so important to walk your spiritual path. The more you move away from God, the more complex you're gonna get. आजकल कैसे कैसे complexes अगर आप देखो, mental disorders देखो आप, OCD, and then we have schizophrenia, all these kind of mental disorders, kitne complex disorders aa gaye hain, why? Because we just gone away so much from God. सेल्फ नॉलेज नहीं है, आत्मज्ञान नहीं है, कोई सिखा नहीं रहा है, ठीक है. और बाय द वे आई एम by the way, I am really having one-on-one spiritual healing sessions and spiritual sessions. In those sessions, I deal with you and your life very deeply in a very intimate manner, right? And yeah, if you feel like you feel called for it, you can contact me on my email ID. You may get the information in the comment section as well. I'll just link down the information regarding my email ID in the pinned comment. You can also check my Instagram. All right, you can check the pinned post on my Instagram. You may go through my first post, my pinned post, and you will find what I'm really offering in this one-on-one session. So yeah, आत्मज्ञान कोई सिखा नहीं रहा है. People have gone very much astray. They don't know what to do anymore. And yeah, so let's just go back. So yeah, so it's like, yeah, spiritual journey is about me transforming myself. And I've always looked for a guidance, okay, in the first phase of my life. तो मैं देखती थी spiritual gurus को भी मैं देखती थी, so called spiritual gurus जो first phase of life में मुझे दिखे, कुछ TV channels पे आ रहे होते थे. We all know, कुछ gurus, so called gurus तो उसमें बैठे हैं, जेल में बैठे हैं for very much of their fault. And I knew it for a fact that those guys were really at fault. I mean, even before they were arrested, I very much knew it. Like, these guys have some problem with them. Yeah, because let's just leave it. But yeah, let's just leave that part. But I would see, these people, and I would just never get it. Like, why would people think that these people are to be kept at a pedestal just because, some of them even could just, I won't take the name, but if you know it, would know it. I mean, there were certain people who would just take out golden rings from their mouth and give it away to you, and it was little intimidating to watch, on TVs and everything. Like, all these things are happening, and I would just always question, if this person really had any divine power in it, why would he really just give away gold to people? Why don't he just go and stop the crimes from happening, like how Superman was doing, how Batman was doing? Why Indian divine people, so called, I mean, they were really not. If they really had some powers, why wouldn't they go and stop the crimes from happening? There are a lot of crimes happening against women and everything. And I myself, I was sexually abused as a child, okay? So that was one traumatic event in my life. I mean, 2. So yeah, I mean 3, I guess. Whatever. So yeah. My life has been so sad. Right, so yeah. So why wouldn't they just go and stop the crime? And then there were other people, on devotional channels I would see, and I could just smell patriarchy, in their katha and everything they would do. I mean, they would just say how a woman should respect his husband, and how a woman shouldn't be like a modern woman, like shouldn't wear these clothes, shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. And it just felt so much like something is extremely wrong, with these people, because they are just reading from textbooks. And life is not as simple as, what these people think. Life is complex, okay? Life is not a moral science book. I mean, really, how moral science book just simply wrote, honesty is the best policy. I mean, life is not that simple, bro. Honesty is the best policy. I'm sorry, if I follow it, I'm gone for good, okay? Life इतनी simple नहीं है moral science को book की तरह, and I always used to get full marks in moral science, by the way, okay? And I found it so meaningless. Like I always knew what to write. इतना easy है ना लिखना कि honesty based policy है, कभी झूठ नहीं बोलना चाहिए, कभी हमेशा ये करना है, चोरी नहीं करनी चाहिए, नहीं करनी चाहिए. But life is complex thing, you know. Somebody who hasn't eaten for like 2 days, if he goes and steals from some shop, can you just really point it out as wrong? Is life that simple? Really? Can you just do that? I felt it was so unjust and so unfair, okay, of these people out there talking so simply of what should be done. Life is not, अब मैंने देखा है जितना ज़्यादा लोग आइडल और परफेक्ट सोसाइटी बनाना चाहते हैं उतनी ज़्यादा सोसाइटी ख़राब होती है, लिटरली, you know. So my first phase of life was that, okay, I just never saw some hope. I thought I would just keep faking it, you know. कहीं ना कहीं एक होप थी कि ठीक है बड़े होंगे, ये करेंगे, लाइफ चेंज करेंगे, बाहर की लाइफ एक्सटर्म. मैं बहुत ज़्यादा आई वॉज वेरी मच अ सेंसिटिव पर्सन, सो आई यूज्ड टू लुक आउटसाइड एंड didn't feel good about life, didn't feel good about people. Then the second phase of my life, I started reading real gurus, for God's sake. I started reading enlightened masters, for God's sake. I started listening to enlightened masters. I found alive gurus as well, you know. Deep Trivedi and Sadhguru are my main gurus, I would say. Then there are many gurus of the past and the present that I read and everything. And yeah, मुझे ऐसा लगा कि पहली बार कोई लाइफ समझा रहा है, कोई लाइफ के लिए बात कर रहा है. यार एक तो मुझे समझ आना था भगवान के ऊपर लोग ऐसे बातें कर, भगवान की तारीफ करते रहते हैं. आई जस्ट नेवर गेट द आइडिया. आई वाज लाइक, why would you praise somebody who isn't here to take care of the world? Literally, मतलब मुझे नहीं आता था समझ. People are compromising on a whole lot of things and it's fine. There are a whole lot of rules in the society जो मुझे समझ नहीं आते थे. I mean, of course I get रेड लाइट का रूल समझ आता है, ओके, कि रेड लाइट पे रुकना है, ग्रीन लाइट पे हैव टू मूव, एंड और सम रूल्स आई गेट इट, बट देयर आर सर्टेन रूल्स दैट आई डोंट गेट इट, ओके. I don't get it, and why are those rules in the society? I just don't get it. I am trying to question society. I feel it's quite meaningless. Even school में जो हम कर रहे हैं वो कितना meaningless है. I mean there's whole lot of things. Environment में इतना problem है, हम nature से इतना दूर हैं, ये सब चीज़ें इतनी गलत हो रही हैं. What are we doing? We are sitting here and doing something else. Like, isn't it time to act and save Earth? Literally, when a kid, I used to think like that. I was always a deep thinker. But उस वक्त मुझे ये, of course, when I was a kid and I was growing up, मुझे उस वक्त ये नहीं पता था, ठीक है. When I really came into second phase of my life, I realized how falsely I was living and how, I just never took to my heart. I just never dared to look at my heart because I knew if I looked there, I would find a whole lot of sorrow. So I just never looked at my heart for that entire first phase of my life. And the second phase of my life is like, look at it. Because of course, holding that one ray of light, I had to look at it. So yeah, it is just all, I was burning in fire of negativity for like the first phase of my life. I was burning in like the fire, वो जो फायर होती है, जो एक फायर होती है जो दुख, it was just putting me into a lot of pain and suffering. The first phase of my life, that was that kind of the fire of negativity, is I would call. The second fire was I was really burning, but I was really burning in wisdom. I was really burning in purity. I would just call it the fire of purity because it just brought down all the ashes, and it just liberated me. The second kind of fire, second phase of my life, the fire just liberated me one by one. And by the way, people are calling me boring because I follow spirituality. People are calling me depressed because I'm following. And of course, I was depressed, yaar. So what's the shame? What? And there are a whole lot of people I see around me who just pretend to be happy and they are not happy. But it's just certain kind of competition. They have to show people they are happy. Otherwise, it's such an insult to them. They and then there are people who are suffering and who are suffering for they're also suffering for some kind of a drama in their life. Okay, there are certain kind of people who will show that how much they are suffering, and trust me, their suffering is not real. They have created it on their own and they want to live in it. Okay, जो सच बहुत कम लोग हैं यार जो सच में रियल सफरिंग से ट्यून इन हो रहे हैं और सच में रियल सफरिंग देख रहे हैं. बहुत कम लोग हैं ऐसे. बहुत सारे लोग बनावटी सफरिंग में हैं और बनावटी खुशी में हैं. वो सफरिंग में भी दूसरों के लिए है ताकि वो दूसरों आई डोंट नो देयर इज़ या तो आई डोंट नो सीरियसली मुझे फेक लोगों से नफरत होती है. I don't want to think even about them. Yeah. I mean, मैं नफ़रत नहीं करना चाहती हूँ. मैं किसी से नफ़रत नहीं करना चाहती हूँ. मैं किसी को जज नहीं करना चाहती हूँ. But yeah, I just can't help it. Sometimes, you know, there are certain people like that, and of course they're suffering inside at the end of the day. मेरे जज करने ना जज करने से कुछ होता नहीं है. But yeah, so that's how it is. That's how it is, right? So yeah, in the second phase of life, I'm really suffering. So people are calling me depressed. People are calling me boring. People are telling me you should do this after when you're 60 years and old. तुम्हें इतना ज्ञान नहीं बांटना चाहिए. तुम्हें इस ज्ञान में इतना नहीं पढ़ना चाहिए. So all sorts of things. People think that I'm very, like I just need, and I am on my path of self healing. मैं अपना सच देख रही हूँ. मैं अपनी सच की राह पे चल रही हूँ. मैं अपने अंदर अपनी सफरिंग को embrace कर रही हूँ, right? And I'm walking my path. But all people have all kinds of opinions. तो बहुत सारे ब्लॉग्स भी आते हैं. बहुत सारे लोग आपको रोकने की कोशिश भी करते हैं आपके स्पिरिचुअल जर्नी में. But you should keep moving on. Okay. Yeah, it's बहुत सारे लोग आपको रोकने की कोशिश करेंगे. ठीक है, शायद तभी मुझे लगता है कि यूनिवर्स ने इन द फर्स्ट फेज ऑफ माई लाइफ मुझे इतनी डार्कनेस में रखा एंड मुझे उसके बाद सिर्फ वन रे ऑफ लाइट भेजी. उन्होंने देखा कि क्या ये वन रे ऑफ लाइट, उस एक रे ऑफ लाइट को पकड़ने के लिए इज शी रेडी, बिकॉज व्हेन शी वुड लिटरली आपको बहुत सारे लोग रोकने आएंगे. लिटरली आई मीन अब थोड़ा ज़माना बदल रहा है. अब तो स्पिरिचुअलिटी भी ट्रेंडिंग कर रहा है भाई. मैं देखती हूँ बहुत सारे लोग अब स्पिरिचुअलिटी में इसलिए आना चाहते हैं क्योंकि उनके दोस्त आ रहे हैं, क्योंकि उनका फ्रेंड सर्कल में लोग ऐसे कर रहे हैं. तो प्लीज़ स्पिरिचुअलिटी को अभी भगवान के लिए ट्रेंड मत बनाना. स्पिरिचुअलिटी सिर्फ इसलिए करना क्योंकि तुम्हें उसकी ज़रूरत है. तुम्हें पता नहीं है पर तुम्हें उसकी बहुत ज़रूरत है. कोई हमें नहीं सिखाएगा, बट तुम ज़रा ये सीख जाना कि इसकी हमें बहुत ज़रूरत है. ठीक है, दैट्स इट. सो या सेकेंड फेज ऑफ माई लाइफ वॉज दैट काइंड. एंड द थर्ड फेज ऑफ माई लाइफ इज़ लाइक universe is sending me proof कि yeah, this is happening, this is true, you're walking the right path. It's like giving me a nod head कि सही जा रहे हो, and yeah, it was a little crazy logical path for me, but it doesn't have to be for you, right? So yeah, that was my story. I try to explain it with as much as images and as much as things I could just tell you. And there is God, there is magic. At the end of the day, I made this video to tell you and to understand, to make you understand that there is magic, there is God, there is love in the universe. and you can really heal yourself. Okay, and don't be ashamed, and don't think twice before taking help. Okay, go out, take help, heal yourself, because it's your dharma as well towards your own self, right? And yeah, just take care of yourself. Okay, and taking care of self doesn't mean that you wear branded clothes and you just go out and give yourself buy yourself flowers. आजकल self love का तो ये definition है ना यार. But self love is very much doing what you really need. And trust me, you're here to evolve. Your soul is here to evolve, and nobody's going to tell you, right? बाकी सब चीज़ें होती रहती हैं side by side, survival and stuff like that. But you are a seeker first. Okay, by the way, the second phase of my life was, yeah, I faced all my fears. So जिन जिन चीज़ों से मुझे डर लगता था, I was intuitively guided to do that. So I did that. Okay, they were like big things. I did that. I went through some karmic, stuff as well. I was into, I had a lot of karmic situations around me. I had my lessons to learn. So karmas are not punishment. Karmas are your lessons, right? I had to go through that, everything. So yeah, it's just a small packed 7 to 8 years, year, but it had a lot of things stuff into it. A lot of things stuff into it. My first phase of life was completely stagnant. I was completely stagnant in the first phase of my life. In the second phase of my life, I started moving, I started flowing. Okay, but जब बहुत टाइम तक एक पानी रुका होता है ना, तो उसको चलना भूल जाता है. तो मैं धीरे धीरे चल रही हूँ, and everything I'm trying to flow, and I am connecting with the feminine energy in my own self. Okay, and now I'm connected with the masculine energies in my own self. And right now, literally, planet Earth is having a huge awakening, and masculine energies are rising right now on the planet as well. So yeah, that's exactly how things are moving and things are going. If you like the video, you can just comment down below what are your thoughts around this, and if you have gone through a spiritual awakening or you wish to go through a spiritual awakening. It's like when spiritual awakening really happens, of course, everything changes in your life, definitely. Plus your perspective change about life altogether. It's just not your perspective that changes. You see something beyond. You definitely see something beyond. So yeah, you start seeing things beyond your logic. Yeah. When I was in the first phase of my life, I just always yearned to know that please magic exists, life itni boring nahi ho sakti, life itni logical nahi ho sakti. In the second phase of life, I just got that one ray of hope, but मेरा logical mind बहुत डर रहा था, बहुत. I was so much in fear कि what if ये गलत हुआ, what if ये गलत हुआ, what if ये गलत हुआ, what if ये गलत हुआ. And the third phase of my life was to एमी इतना डर रही थी. See, कुछ गलत नहीं हुआ. And you are on the right side of, you're on the right side. You're on the right side. You're walking the right path. And you have to keep walking the right path. So it doesn't end, right? Spiritual awakening ke baad, it doesn't end. It's not some finish line that you just did it. You have to keep walking that path. So like, comment down below, subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.